Hey, everybody, it is Trags, Mike Petraglia, back with another episode of the Red Sox Beat podcast, powered by CLNS Media. And this time, as we look ahead to the 2022 season, just days away, a delayed start, albeit, but still an exciting time for all Red Sox fans. I bring back my old boss from the WEEI.com days, and I'm very proud to have him on, shades and all, from just outside the Red Sox training facility in Fort Myers. The one and only Rob Bradford does a great job covering all things Red Sox for WEEI and Odyssey.com. Did I get it right, Rob?
Audacity. No, Odyssey. You got it right. And by the way, yeah. I wear the shades because I can't see. So for the first time in my life, I have prescription sunglasses.
Oh.
So yeah, I can't see without them. So it's not like I'm not like a hardo where I'm wearing sunglasses all around. But holy crap, Trags. Like, you know how expensive these things are? Oh my goodness.
I'm going to say $11.95 from your local CVS.
Yeah, it depends with no period. Right? Yeah, you're right. You're not far off. You're not that far off. Anyway, I just want to make it clear that I'm not like a jackass and that I just wear around sunglasses all the time. I can't see your smiling face if I don't wear them.
I understood, and I can vouch for the fact that you're not a jackass. You're anything but. By the way, also, if you're not following him on Twitter at Bradfo, the Bradfo Show is the most unique baseball content on the web. How's that for a?
I mean,
unique.
Unique can be perceived in so many ways.
It can, but I mean it only in a loving,
in a good way,
positive manner.
In a good way. Listen, I one of the great things about this spring training, Trags, and this baseball season coming up, and you know this because you were good at it. You're good at it as well. Is access of talking to guys. It was just stripped away from us for the last 2 years, and being down in spring training, you know, the access has been great. The players have been amenable to it. They haven't been like, get out of our clubhouse. And that has lent itself like podcasts as well. You know, I sat down for whatever it was, 45 minutes with Xander Bogaerts the other day. I mean, obviously doesn't really happen a whole lot. And so it's good. I mean, it's good. And by the way, it's important. It's important for baseball. Like I think that kind of went under the radar, how important it is for writers to get in there, to talk to these guys, and to be able to sort of humanize them a little bit more than just on Zoom calls.
So in my other job, wearing another hat, covering, of course, as you know, the Cincinnati Bengals, I am very happy, and a lot of players and coaches and even team officials, certainly with the Bengals, are happy that the locker room's going to be open this year. And I thought it interesting, Rob, that at the spring meetings, Roger Goodell was asked about whether or not the locker rooms would be open, you know, this summer and into the season. And it was his PR man jumping in and saying, no, they will be open. They absolutely will be open, meaning they know, and as well as we do on the media side, how important it is to have interpersonal relationships with these players. It's particularly important, as you know, in baseball, and baseball isn't boring, as your T-shirt does.
Yeah, no, baseball is not boring. It isn't boring. Go to BB isn't boring. At BB isn't boring. It's a revolution, Trags. All the players are wearing these T-shirts. Joe Kelly is the kingpin. He's spreading the word. So we're just his messengers. So, but baseball isn't boring. But to go back to your point, yeah, I mean it's particularly in baseball, you have so much access. Like I said, so much happens that you want to ask about the little things, and I think football maybe understood what we're talking about, where you know this is important for the sport. Like it's really important for the sport, man. It just is, to be able to humanize these guys a little bit. Now, you know, with the Patriots or with the Bengals, or maybe it's a little bit different. Well, certainly with the Patriots, a little bit different. Yeah. But it's because I thought for sure, Trags, it was going to be like, you're never getting back in. You're never getting back in that clubhouse.
I never feared that, because I think these teams and players and whatnot all understood the concept of they've got to get their message out. And yeah, they can start their own platforms, but there's a reason it's called mass media, and you can reach a lot more people with less effort if you're a player, particularly.
Yeah, but you hit on it. I think some of the players, and I agree, some of the players understand that. But I also think some of the players thought, well, no, I'll just do my Instagram stories and I'll do my social media, and that'll get the message out. And because this is a baby, I'm sorry to derail this conversation.
No, yeah, but it's your platform, Rob.
Okay, well, no, but I'm just like, it's one of the things about baseball that I always found, like, we talk about personalities,
yep,
and the reluctance to show their personality. And I think and I've talked to baseball players about this, and they don't disagree, which is, they're in there so much with each other. So they don't, to let them set their personalities out, to basically being the guy who is doing the wacky things or whatever. They don't want to be the guys who like get made fun of, or, hey, what were you doing there? What were you doing there? They're very conservative in that respect, because it's to me, it's why it's the least political of all the sports, because they don't want to talk politics when they walk in there, because the guy sitting next to them might have a completely different opinion, and they aren't going to change their mind, and all of a sudden now you have 6 months sitting next to the guy which that you disagree with. So that's why I think that there was a bit of reluctance to show their personalities. Now I think it's changing a little bit, because I think that sort of guys are realizing that it's okay. It's okay to do it. And I've seen that in spring training so far. I mean, it's a good, for the Red Sox point of view, it's a good group, man. It's a good group of guys, and they're not afraid to talk and do stuff, and it's all good.
Joining that group very late to the party, but understandably so, is one Trevor Story. And he didn't play his first game until last Wednesday against the Atlanta Braves. And I'm just curious, from what you saw in a week's worth of action, how ready is he? And I mean, because he only had a week of actual game action, not even, to be a productive member at the top of that Red Sox lineup.
I think he's ready. I who knows, because sometimes it catches up to you. You pull something that you don't, if you rush him. But performance-wise, what I've seen from the guy is that he's ready. And I think it's a big part of that is because what type of player he is. He's an athletic guy who's in good shape already. So there's not a lot of moving parts. He's got a pretty compact swing. So, so you see him like hitting the ball right away. Fielding wise, he's playing a new position, but, range and good hands will make up for a lot of inexperience. I actually think that they're going to have that middle of the infield with Bogaerts and Story is going to be pretty good. It's going to help Bogaerts, I think, too. So to answer your question, they'll give him time off here and there, but I wouldn't be overly concerned. I think you might not have a guy coming out and hitting 15 home runs in April, but still, I think he's going to be a productive guy out of the gate.
Does it matter if he hits second or sixth? Because I don't understand why you would move him. And I'm sure Alex Cora's got all of the analytics behind him, and Chaim Bloom and whatnot, and the Red Sox front office have done the analytics. But I just don't want him hitting sixth. If I'm a Red Sox fan, I want him at the top of the lineup, getting as many at bats as possible.
Well, so the answer is that you have, obviously it's not like you have like bums in front of them, and you've seen it enough where a lineup might start one way and then it changes. I mean, listen, Hunter Renfroe ended up leading off some games last year.
Right.
No one was ever thought that would be possible. I think that the impetus, the motivation really is because they really like Devers in that number 2 spot. And we've seen it in baseball now more than ever, where your best hitter, your biggest threat is going to hit second. The Mike Trouts of the world, the Carlos Correas of the world, like those guys are going to hit second. And so that's why they like Devers there. and they feel like Kike is the most natural leadoff hitter. So you lead him off, you hit Devers second. Now you're getting to a little bit of the left-right. So Bogarts, you're going to stick in the middle of the order. JD, you're going to stick in the middle of the order. And then again, like with the Verdugo thing, and maybe they just don't want too many righties in a row. That's why they break it up, and then boom, here comes Story. So we'll see. I mean, if the guy's red hot, you want to get him at best. That's what happened with Renfroe last year, Trags.
Yep.
I mean, Renfroe was their best hitter for a couple months, and he's hitting down there. And like, well, what are you doing? You got to get this guy at bats, man. And I think ultimately they end up putting him up there for a while. So we'll see. I mean, I wouldn't stress out too much about it, but it's a good point.
All right. Does Rafael Devers get done? I think everybody wants to know if that contract extension is in the offing, and why it behooves the Red Sox, who under Chaim Bloom have proven to be pretty, I think, ahead of the curve so far in his leadership and his stewardship of the franchise. Do you think a deal gets done?
I mean, when's this podcast dropping?
Pretty immediately, yeah. I'd say.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't.
4 hours.
Can I do like two different versions of this? I do. I don't. Because, and I say that because if you ask me right now, as we sit here,
yes,
in my car,
yes,
I would say this: I don't think my inclination is that I don't think it'll get done. Now, whether it gets done or not, it still is baffling to me. You know, when I talked to him, whenever that was, a week and a half ago,
mm-hmm.
and flat out said, have you talked? Have they approached you about extension at any point? And he said, no. Like, that is unbelievable to me. And I'm not talking about this year. I'm talking about like 2 or 3 years ago. Like, this is, Trags. Like, Theo made a living off of extensions, of getting guys locked up early. Tampa Bay, they make a living off of it. So I don't know if he's not getting word or what. Like, it seemed that part of it was just mind blowing to me. But when it comes out in the last couple of days that now they had made offer, they're talking, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, that doesn't. They seem to be talking to these guys because they have a lot of guys up, right? A lot of key guys.
Yep.
Bogarts, Devers, Evaldi, JD, Kike, Vasquez. I mean, as you say them, it's like, holy crap. I mean, how many guys you got? But it doesn't surprise me that they're talking. But one thing I do know about Devers is that when he's going to compare himself not to third baseman, he is going to compare himself to the best 24, 25, 26-year-olds in the game. That's what he's going to compare himself to. And that's where he's going to be saying, okay, you know what? What are they getting paid? Because I don't care what position, because they can throw it back. Well, look at you, led the league in errors or whatever. He doesn't care. Like, he's like, I want to be perceived as one of the best players in the game. So I know that whether he gets a deal done or not, was his approach.
He would not be amenable to the deal Correa worked out with the Twins, right? Where everybody's saying that, it's a super bonus deal because Correa is going to get 2 max deals, or, he's going to be able to go back to the marketplace. Would he be, and his representation be open to that?
Well, would the Red Sox be open to it? Probably not. I mean, so Devers has 1 more year of arbitration. And let's just say, so he's making just about over 11 this year.
Yep.
Let's say next year he's going to make 20. Which is probably realistic. You make 20, then you hit free agency. So, well, you got to do a deal that is like, okay, well, when is the opt out? Like, what does the opt out look like? Because this doesn't line up. I mean, the whole impetus for the Red Sox is you're buying him, maybe save a little bit money in terms of the arbitration, although now that time seems to be come and gone, and then locking them up long term. I mean, that's the impetus for the Red Sox. I mean, there's no, the Correa thing is you're chasing the player, right? You're chasing, you have to beat out other teams for the player. the reality for the Red Sox right now is that they have the player for 2 more years. So it's they can say this makes sense in terms of locking you up long term. If you want to be here, this makes sense. Just like it made sense with Bogarts back in, leading into 2019. You get the long-term deal, but, then he gets the opt-out after, X amount of years. Something that I think that's a more realistic scenario. Although now you see Trags guys, more guys are not getting opt-outs. They're just like, give me a crap load of money and a crap load of years and let's roll.
Right.
So,
I mean, Mookie didn't have an opt-out, did he, with the Dodgers?
No. I mean, and I don't think Lindor did. Someone else I'm missing who signed recently, Franco. I don't think he does. So, it's. I just know this is that for Devers, like you've gone so far down the path, you're so close to free agency. You get that close to free agency, the team is not gonna save themselves a lot of money. That's just a reality. Because if the guy is that close to free agency, he's just gonna be saying, "Pay me like I'm a free agent," and that's what Devers will say.
So the Red Sox are not starting April 7th; they're starting April 8th. What are you going to do with the extra 24 hours?
Oh man, squeeze out more Fort Myers time. Come on, let's go. Like the great thing was they bagged it, so just move the flight back a day. Better than sitting around in a rainy New York. So yeah, I mean, come on, it's like a no-brainer try. You've been down here. You and I broke bread down in Fort Myers.
I cannot. I'm like DJ Bean once called me Mike LaPlante because I come out in the sunshine and the warmth.
Oh yeah,
he said that during the 2011 Bruins run to the Stanley Cup. By the way, that's where that.
Well, no one's better than the monikers than DJ, but it's it's funny. We talk about our time together and covering stuff together. I was talking to our good friend John Tomasky the other day, and they have a special on the anniversary of the Bobby Valentine year, 2012. And part of it, obviously, is the Dustin Pedroia
anniversary.
Oh yeah, so part of it is the Dustin Pedroia Patriots Day morning, where he's like, that's not how we do things here. Maybe it's how they do it in Japan. Remember that, Trags?
I do.
And I remember, it's like, so that was our teamwork, right? Trags, come over here. Come over. Listen, Dustin says he has something to say. Trags, I think you asked the question.
I did.
Like, they got the answer. Yeah, there you go. So
Garrett Whitlock, I want to see him in the bullpen. I think that's his best spot, but I understand the argument that Alex Barth has made to me on numerous occasions for him in the rotation. Where does Garrett Whitlock first begin the season? And I think we know the answer to that. I'm asking that rhetorically, but where does he appear more throughout the year for the Red Sox, either in the rotation or in the bullpen as a closer?
So the short-term answer is that you're going to see him, I think, probably in more variety of roles than even anyone realized. Because take, for instance, the rain out for opening day. They have to lump these games together. I would not be surprised if they go to a 6-man rotation because they have so many games in a row. These guys are building up, and he ends up starting a game. Now, opening day, he'll probably going to follow up Eovaldi and that. So there'll be a lot of that. And Alex Cora we've heard him say this a bunch of times this spring about, we figure it's better to have this guy pitch 3 times 2 innings at a whack than 4 times 1 inning, because 6 innings is better than 4 innings and all that math. So, okay, that's great. And I understand like where Alex might be coming down on starting. Everyone wants to see how a guy does starting. Like Daniel Bardu wanted to see how he did starting. But at the same time, it's like what he did last year was a really effective role. And I think I think to answer your question, it's going to come down to how the other guys do. I mean, Trags, you have a rotation that has a lot of uncertainty in it. Let's be honest, has a ton of uncertainty in it. You have a bullpen, by the way, has a ton of uncertainty in it. So whichever group needs a little more certainty, like I think that's where Whitlock will probably end up and find himself. And that's the luxury they have. I mean, what they need is they need somebody to step up to be the 2022 Garrett Whitlock. They need a Cutter Crawford,
I
a
was
Matt
just going
Strom.
to ask. Yeah.
Right. They need one of these guys to step up and be like the wild card. Or even, listen, not to say they'd be the same thing, but they need the best versions of these guys. They need the best version of Matt Barnes, of Jake Diekman. They need the best versions of these guys. And I'm not going to get all caught up in spring training. We'll see when the regular season starts, but that is a fact. They need the best version of Michael Wacha. Like there's a lot of, Michael Wacha figured things out for Tampa in the last 2 months and got rid of his cutter and so forth and so on. Great. Show me what he does for 4 or 5 months. That sort of thing. And by the way, you're talking about your 4th starter. Tanner Houck, show me what he can do on a consistent basis going against the 3rd time through the order. Like, you have to show me this. Trags, you were there. I think we have 5 aces. John Lester leaves,
Yes.
Wade Miley, Justin Masterson, Joe Kelly, Rick Porcello, Clay Buchholz. I could have made a case for every single one of them. I probably did. But at the end of the day, none of them stepped up. None. So, that's where they're fortunate that they have a Valdi, really.
And Rich Hill, is he gonna last the season?
I think they're gonna have to manage him. I mean, this isn't just like go run him out there and say go get him every 5th day. I think they're gonna have to manage him a little bit. A big part of this, and this is why, the Tampa model, Trags. Okay, it's all you win 100 games without your top 3 starters, you're doing something right. But the problem is, if we've learned anything, the problem is that when you get to the end game, when you get to October, you've run out these arms so much, they're running on fumes. Even in the COVID year, Nick Anderson, their best reliever, everyone talks about Blake Snell being pulled. Well, okay, you can make a case for him being pulled, but what you couldn't make a case for was putting in Nick Anderson, whose arm was about to fall off his body.
Right.
So, I mean, so my point with Hill is that you have to, you just have to make sure with all these guys that you manage them. And that's another thing. We have to see what kind of depth they have. We don't know, but they're going to have to find some depth somewhere.
Were you encouraged with the Red Sox in spring training overall?
Yeah, I was. I mean, I'm not to be like a doom and gloom about all these unknowns, but there are unknowns, and we can't just go in it blindly. I think their lineup is awesome. This is one of the best lineups they're going to have in a long time. I think their defense was really good. Devers defensively was much better than he has been. I think Story to me, put this on the board.
Okay.
Ready? Story
is going
to win the Gold Glove at second base. Like, I think he's that good.
At a brand new position, he's going to.
Yeah, brand new position. Actually, I don't know, because maybe they're not, because Gold Gloves is fraudulent. I don't even know who won the Gold Glove.
I mean, it's more
a popularity contest.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but all I'm saying is that I actually think seeing him play, like, that's his position. Like, he wouldn't want to say that. They wouldn't want to say that. But his body type, the way he moves and all of it, like, to me, like, there you go. There's the second baseman. Like, Bogarts is a big guy, man, right? 6'2", 225. I asked her. I know that. I had 13% body fat. I get all the numbers for you. Bench is 100 kilos. I don't know. That's what he said.
How much body fat? That's not on
13%. That's what he told me. 13%.
That seems high to me. I'm surprised it's that high.
It's not that high. That's not high. Okay. 13% is high.
Remember the obsession?
Nomar was like 6.
Yes, that's right. I thought that was obscene.
You can't be like 1. Like, you have to have some body fat.
Right.
But yeah, he's 13%, 225. And we were talking to Eddie Romero on the radio, the assistant GM who helped sign Bogarts. He said, yeah, he was like 150 when they signed him. He's 225 now.
Wow.
So yeah. So.
By the way, how impressed were you with the way Devers came to camp in shape? Were
I mean, I think he was
looks
okay.
better, right? I mean, he looks
I think he looked better last year.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, but the weird thing is, this is way too much information. But
that's why we're here.
We don't go in the clubhouse we didn't go in the clubhouse last year. I looked at the guy on the field and I say, wow, that guy is slim. You look at him last year, he was really slim. He's still like in far better shape than he used to be now. But you know, we're in the clubhouse. And like, okay, well, it's not exactly like groundskeeper Willie here. You know, it's like, you got my reference?
I think so. Yeah.
Are you a Simpsons guy? So anyway, you know, I think I go back to, I said this to Bogarts in the podcast. I said, we were talking about per diem. I said, dude, God bless Rafi. Like, he's come a long way. But I remember that first time he was in that major league clubhouse, he was wearing out the per diem, I guarantee you. Because he must have gained like 50 pounds throughout the Grapefruit League. But he's in good shape. Like, I think he's figured it out. He's figured out what he needs to do. And he told me the other day, like, he's like, I'm a third baseman. I'm going to be a third baseman forever. Or not forever, but I mean, really for the foreseeable future. So, okay. I mean, and honestly, the way that he's played, he looks good. He looks good.
Good. Well, that's why I have you on this podcast, Rob. Nobody brings the 411 like you do.
Ooh, look at that. And the groundskeeper. Go Google groundskeeper Willie. You'll see what I'm talking about.
I will do that. And I want you to get an extra espresso in your latte that you might be waiting for if it's iced. Is that what you're waiting on?
No, I don't drink coffee, Trags. Come on, all our years together, you don't know this. I drink tea. That's all I drink. Tea.
I could have sworn. Well, I'm sorry, I dropped.
No, you know, it's a lethal combination of tea.
Yep. 5-hour energy. I was thinking of you yesterday when I was going around trying to find a pick-me-up for the afternoon. And I'm like, you know, Bradford would definitely advise me going to like a CVS or a Walgreens.
Have you tried these? Celsius?
No, I haven't.
I'm buying stock in these babies. But yeah, I mean, this, and you know, Trags, spring training, man, they're long days, longer days than any other time of year, because the clubhouse opens at 8 and then you're going all day long. It's great. I love it, but still, they're long days. But I'm ready to go, man. Let's go. Baseball.
Follow him on weei.com. And he has one of the very best podcasts and very best shows out there, The Bradford Show. Correct?
Thank you. I mean, what am I supposed to say? No? Yes.
No, you do.
Okay.
Yes, you do.
Well, I appreciate that, Trags. You have one of the best podcasts out there. You are one of the finest talents that I've ever had the opportunity to work with. You are the one who I always feel I have never felt better for a human being than when the Cincinnati Bengals went to the Super Bowl than for you. So yes. So we will run hand in hand through this baseball season, enjoying every single minute of it. And a baseball isn't boring t-shirt is on the way to the Tragsian studios. So there you go.
I appreciate that, Rob. I want to thank everybody for downloading today's podcast. Thank our great guest, Rob Bradford from weei.com. For the one and only Bradfo, I'm Trags, Mike Petraglia, and this has been the Red Sox Beat podcast powered by CLNS Media.